Right, what's good, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Stage, where I get to talk to a lot of people, to anyone that will answer my DMs, to talk about fighting game, esports events, how they organize it, what they do, and how you guys could potentially join in and help grow the scene. This week, we've got Damascus. Damascus, what's good, brother?
What's up? I'm one of the guys who answer DMs. I'm kind of like sometimes.
You do answer DMs.
I'm terrible at answering DMs, but I do. It's my new fight.
So Damascus has been a Bandai Namco ambassador for Dragon Ball FighterZ. You've helped run Ultimate Fighting Arena for the last few years that I've known you, for within UFA at least. You've done a lot of. You're a world warrior. You've traveled so much. But I'm not going to sing your praises. To the people that don't know you, Damascus, who are you? Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Damascus, as you said. Obviously, initially I'm a commentator on fighting games, but I've not just been a commentator. Used to be a player before. When I started doing commentary, I immediately started helping events. From back when I was living in New York, where we ran our own kind of league every week in Next Level, that we. Very nicely named Troll Panga, because it was like Topanga, but with the people who don't win tournaments, and that was actually a lot of fun. After the New York beat, came back to France to move to London, and was helping a bit, if there was help to be at bracket reset with the twins every week in London, which was our weekly. Started working with Abu in France on pretty much any event that he was running. Back then, there was Can Winter Clash. I don't know if you were you there back in the... You missed the good days. Yeah, you missed the good days. Scans was great. But I've always pretty much helped events, because I'm the kind of guy who can't just sit down and do commentary. I want to just help on whatever I can help. And from this, slowly but surely, because I'm pretty much involved in as much as I can, I started to get more positions in helping tournaments. So as you said today, during the COVID time, I was officially the ambassador for Dragon Ball FighterZ competitive. So I was directly with Bandai Namco to define the formats that we want to run, how the World Tour should be, in the time of shifting to online, with the COVID time. And after that, I'm pretty much helping. I think most events in Europe, I'm pretty much helping in some way or another. Like Brussels Challenge, I help CCL a lot with plenty of backstage stuff. Mix Up, I help a lot. Only the Best, all that stuff. I pretty much do this now. Any event who needs help, I'm trying to be there, because UFA is pretty much the one I'm fully involved in, as in I'm really proper, actually TO. But on all of the others, I always get there. I think Brussels is also not as much as UFA, but close.
Yeah.
And pretty much any event, when people need my help, I'm a Swiss Army knife. I can do pretty much anything.
That's very true.
Including production. For the fun fact, I was at Emirates Showdown a few weeks ago.
Yes.
And there was a problem with the stream. So I pretty much set up the entire stream myself, streamed myself, and got everything ready. So yeah, more
Swiss Army knife Damascus. Damascus Swiss Army knife even. That's amazing.
That's what we tried. Yeah.
And to promote yourself slightly even more, for those listening if you're not watching the YouTube video, Damascus is wearing Reversal merch. So Reversal is, correct me if I'm wrong here again, Damascus, a company you co-started yourself?
Not a company, but a channel, a media platform. So Reversal is owned by Gozulting, who is a production company in France. Gozulting being the company that runs UFA, but also produces, anytime you see ridiculous production value events, that's them, for Red Bull Comité, all that stuff, it's always Gozulting in. These guys are really, really high quality. I love working with them. And Gozulting being created initially by people who really love fighting games. They've always wanted to have a platform that's owned by them, that to share the love of fighting games, and that's how we created Reversal, which is designed to be, obviously it's an ambitious project, right? Considering the amount of people working on it, but that's how we do, try to do as much. But it's dedicated to be, a fighting game platform to bring more eyes to fighting games. We produce documentaries, we produce plenty of videos, and also to create a community center, because we run 3 weekly events. We had streaming plenty of major events. So the idea is that, Reversal's objective is to become, the center of competitive, and also to use it to give love to the other people, because one thing I've always worked on is try to get all the community highlighted. And that's something I try to do with Brussels, which is anytime I get something fun, I try to give it to the people who are actually involved and not anyone else.
Yeah. And like set and reset, like I said, 3 times a week. Your schedule is crazy with that alone, plus plus the setup and running and all of that fun jazz. It is madness to see sometimes. But shout outs to everyone that does help set and reset run. The Reversal YouTube channel, if you don't subscribe to it. There's links down below. Check them out. And like Damascus said, Gazelting, a massive player in the fighting game scene, especially within Europe. If you've been to Ultimate Fighting Arena UFA, that's just been 2024, or every year for UFA, really, it has been Gazelting that has helped produce that event to bring it to that level where, in my eyes, is, sorry to say to a lot of people, the best European fighting game event. Some people want to class themselves as that, but as a spectator, as an attendee, UFA does hit that high bar, especially if you've been to numerous events around the world. So Damascus, less about Gazelting, less about Reversal, more about you. You said you started as a fighting game player. I met you in Street Fighter 4 years. You went to commentator, and then you started, and alongside commentating, you started helping out events. So that's a very brief history. Fill in the gaps for me. Like, what happened? Like, you went from New York to London to France and everywhere in between. Like, talk to me.
What happened was I graduated in 2011 with an engineering degree, and that's when I moved to Paris for my first job. Because my degree is in finance, and in France, if you work in finance, you have to be in Paris. Same way as in the UK, if you're in finance, you're most likely in London. It's capital gaming. So I had to move to Paris there. And moving to Paris, the actual fun thing, like very fun fact for me, is like I used to play Street Fighter casually online and stuff. But when I moved to Paris, I was obviously I had no money. I was in a very cheap student building with only a terrible Wi-Fi. And the Xbox 360 could not connect to Wi-Fi with the passwords that you need to go to a web page.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the hotel Wi-Fi and stuff. So I could not play online on my Xbox. So I was like, man, I want to play Street Fighter. So I looked for the people in person, and I went to this place called Arcade Street, which unfortunately is closed now, but there used to be the arcade center in Paris. And Arcade Street was running events, every Wednesday, and that's kind of how, I met the community, became competitive because I'm very stubborn and I hate losing, and, that's what everyone does anyway in competition. From Paris, I moved to New York, and in New York, I met the community at Next Level, Next Level Battle Circuit. That was the weekly, back in the golden days of SF4 with Dominion, Sanford, Kelly, Chris G. So obviously you're super competitive. So I've always been like, I was competing a lot on this, but even in New York, because back then, we're not on Discord and stuff, we're on forums online. So we had that forum called Street Fighter Friends, where, pretty much all of the Street Fighter community was there. And I was always there because plenty of my friends are there, but I ended up kind of writing officially to write about, the FGC in America and stuff. So there's still a couple articles in French on a website called Hit Combo, which same thing, it's not maintained anymore. Of just me, experience going to majors and stuff. Sometimes some players would come to New York and I would house them and we would go to like majors, all that stuff. So I've always wanted to help on this until after New York, I went and moved to London. Bracket Reset and at Bracket Reset, with the twins who were doing production, there was a stream. There was no official commentator, but the idea is just sit down and have fun. So it was, me, Jammers, Terrence, Pax, just sitting down, having fun with commentary, not doing, like professional commentary, but, having fun with the vibes and stuff.
Yeah.
And the commentary bit for me became a thing in maybe the most, I won't say random, but sometimes it's more force your luck. That's what I tell people, like if you want to do something, you need to force your luck. And for me, it was Cannes Winter Clash in 2014.
Okay.
So we had Cannes Winter Clash used to be a European major in Cannes. And one thing we did this year, so that was the first year that Abu's team, that back then Abu had a team called Game Lines, which was, event running team.
Yeah.
And that's the first time that team was running Cannes, so I was part of that team. And the thing I did back then was a big crowdfunding to bring players to the tournaments.
Okay.
So I went on Reddit to run a crowdfunding that got us, the crowdfunding got us Punko, Sako, and Infiltration to come. So I was like, gigantic. Yeah. And that's But remember, like nowadays we see, like players traveling more because there's a lot of money on the line. Back then, Asian players in Europe was extremely rare. That was like maybe a once a year thing. So like big one, we also had Dominion because we had the small partnership with Next Level where they ran a qualifier and we kind of went 50-50 on paying the flight to the winner. Always community. So this year, like all of the guys were here. Obviously, everyone wanted to watch, Sako and all the guys, like playing.
Yeah.
And that year, Logan's flight got cancelled.
Oh.
He couldn't attend. And there was no commentator. And I was there on my lunch break eating a kebab, and Abu comes to me and he's like, "Yo, Samad, the stream is on, Sako is playing, and there is no commentator. Can you jump on?" So I jumped on with my kebab in hand, mic on the left hand. And ended up doing commentary the entire weekend because I was the only choice there. And being honest, I rewatched it and I hated it with all my guts. I thought it was a terrible commentary. But somehow people liked it.
Sure.
I still don't know why to this day. I have a theory because people liked me as a person who was really invested. So they were like, "Oh, it's cool, you helped." But that kind of was like, "Yo, commentary is funny. Let's do more commentary."
Okay.
And from there on, I started to like go, everywhere I could. I used to go on to events on my own money. I would just contact Sonic Boom in Spain. Like, "You guys have a commentator?" "No." "Okay, I'm coming. Can I do commentary?" "Cool. I'll pay my flight to Madrid and stuff. I'll go and do commentary and get to more and more events until eventually you're blessed with doing the bigger events.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. That's like, I think from the years I have known you, it's definitely community is at your core. Like, you want the community to thrive, you want it to do well, and you do everything in your power to help build it up. With you, and you put on a good point there, you don't think that commentary slot that you luckily, I guess, fell into whilst eating a kebab at Cannes wasn't your best. But what do you think is your best commentary slot? Like, normally I ask my guests, like, what are you most known for? But because you've given me an answer where you don't think that was your best, I'm just going to twist this around and go, what do you think your best commentary slot was? Where did you deliver 100% and you feel go, this is my top?
Honestly, I'm still super proud of the top 8 I did with Terrence for Dragon Ball FighterZ at EVO. Because obviously me and Terrence were about to the top 8 EVO, which is a lifelong dream.
Yeah.
So you can imagine both of us were a bit, all right, let's, let's give it. But the entire top 8 was so incredibly good and the crowd was so good that, like, I think when you do commentary, sometimes you don't really realize it until you really look at it, but the crowd really lifts your commentary up. Yeah. When you're in a position, like when you're in a room where the entire crowd is living the game, you dive into the game even more because you live it with the crowd. When you're in a place that's silence, it's very different because you can feel that you are not bringing hype, you're commentating. It's a very different, split to do. Yeah. EVO was like, one of the perfect crowds because everyone loved it. I got to, a fun fact, like I have to announce, so Wawa winning in French, which according to one of the EVO producers, the only time an EVO stream ever announced a winner in a foreign language.
Oh, really?
Yes, and that's also a very popular line in France, which is very cool. So it's it's quite a great moment. But I think this one is also because of the weight of the thing. EVO.
Of course.
That was the EVO back from COVID as well. So that's when everyone went back online, offline and stuff. It meant so much, and like I thought at the end of it, like me and Tarrant were like, yeah, we're both on cloud 9 right now. Don't talk to us. Let us enjoy.
Don't talk to me. This is cloud 9. Like, this is going to be the top. On my deathbed, this is what I want to remember.
Like, I'm flying.
Amazing. Honestly, that would be amazing. That is a lifelong dream for a lot of people, right? Like being at EVO, competing, being on the stage for top 8, being in grand finals, being a commentator for the said grand finals. Like, everyone has a dream to get there, especially within the fighting game scene. I appreciate that answer. That's really cool. And being like the one and only announcement in a foreign language on the main EVO stream, like that is definitely a cap in your hat to say, like, cool, let's go. This was me.
Yeah, I love this. Obviously plenty, right? Like I think there are a lot of moments where I was really happy with commentary, but I'm personally very like critical of myself. Like I watch my stuff and I'm like, I hate it all the time. So it just takes a while. But every once in a while I watch it, I was like, yeah, okay, that hits. It happens.
Okay. Swiveling that question slightly, with event organizing, like you being one of the main people for Ultimate Fighting Arena for UFA, I don't even know if you have a title at UFA. You are just the guy that everyone speaks to, English and French, and probably
my official title. So I have an official title.
Okay.
But that title represents maybe like 30% of the work I do. But you know, so because the thing with UFA, right? Like that's what I mentioned with Gozulting. Gozulting is a very ambitious team, and it's people like, to me, I worked with a lot of teams. This is the team I enjoy working the most because, like, we're all like-minded. We all want to do too much. You know, sometimes it doesn't work, but because we all have that mindset, it always, you know, ends up good. So we all, like, technically for UFA, we all have obviously our role, but then like anything that happens, run to do to stuff. So my official title for UFA is the head of talent for UFA.
Okay.
So my official title is pick all the on-camera talents, you know, and handle all that stuff, the budget, the talent, the schedules, like all of the things around the talent is my, like, the official title. Yeah. But then outside of this, like, I'm pretty much one of the guys who anything needed or whatever, they call me, hey, there's a problem on this stage, I just run and see what's up with the stage. Exactly. So it's like, you know, it's official title, but you end up doing more.
Official title, head of talent for UFA with Gozulting. Amazing. That leads on to a lot of questions, which hopefully we can answer this episode. If not, you're coming back for part 2. But yeah, head of talent, and much like a few guests I've had already, I do view the fighting game community events and just general esports, I think, really, that we are still in a startup mentality. Not as a bad thing, but you have a official title, but that title doesn't tell you everything, doesn't say what you do exactly. You do that is part of your job. That's 30%, like you said. The rest, the 70%, is everything else, where you don't have a definition, where you just have to put your arms in and help out, because it's a team game. You have to help everyone else out. You want everyone to succeed. You want yourself to succeed. And at the end of the day, UFA to me looked like a success from an outsider's perspective.
And if you did, it means we did a great job, because part of my job is to make sure that when a crisis happens, no one sees it. Yeah.
That's the thing, right? And before, whilst I remember, actually, one extra title I do need to give you, Damascus, is that you are the unofficial tourism board for Nice because of Evo France, or Evo Nice coming to France. So if you don't follow Damascus on Twitter, like, go follow him on X or whatever you want to call it. He will show the pictures you see will show you how nice Nice is, and everything you may expect when you come next year in 2025. So with being the talent manager, the head of talent for UFA, how do you define this success?
Well, I'm really happy to, like, have this role, obviously. And, you know, I'll never thank Abu enough for trusting me with this. But for me, like, one of the things with it, and the reason why I really call it a success, is because I'm very, very dedicated to commentary overall. You know, like, I care about my commentary a lot. I care about commentary overall a lot. You know, I grew up watching football, and, you know, the best football moments always have a commentator who's lifting the action. You know, it's never just the goal is a thing, but the commentator has to go with, you know, with the video. It's all that stuff. Like, I've always liked that part, and I've always thought that on commentary, you know, as commentators, we're better off trying to lift each other up rather than everyone do our own thing. So, you know, our group of commentators, we're critical of each other. We talk to each other, everything. I get feedback from, like, players, people and stuff all the time. And one of the things I've done for a while is, like, I've tried to help people with commentary, because sometimes I watch events even on esports. Actually, I'm very curious with esports to watch what commentary is, and I actually don't like esports commentary overall, which is one of my fun traits. But I always look at, you know, one thing I love about the FGC is we have so many commentators who represent so many different paths of life, and they all gather together, to love fighting games, and they all have an opportunity to be themselves and to bring the hype as well. So one of the things I've done a while ago, when I started doing my online events, I started to take commentators, and the only conditions I had to take in commentators was, I will be happy to put you on, but I will give you feedback, and this feedback might be very critical. Like, we commentators, you need sometimes to set your ego on the side, because any criticism towards your commentary, sometimes my commentary is bad and people are saying, oh, that was shit, and honestly it was, right? So it hurts, right? But you have to learn to transform this pain into better commentary. So but by doing this, like, I took these guys and started to give them more opportunities, and today a lot of these guys are actually top 8 major level commentators, and I'm really happy with this, because I'm currently, as the head of UFA talent, I also help other tournaments with commentators, like Brussels Challenge, like plenty of events. Like, I help as much as I can. But the biggest thing is that I managed to create a team of commentators who are all so good that I actually don't have enough spots for them at big events. And I think that's a massive win, while being part of a loss, of course. But when I choose commentators for UFA, I'm like, hold up, I can't put this guy on? Come on. But no, there is no spot. That's how good the team is right now.
Yes.
And I'm really happy that I could, contribute to that.
Definitely. And yeah, so guys, whilst you're still listening, if you want to learn how to get better in commentary, look up Damascus's events. Like I said, set and reset. Eventually there may be a slot. They are quite full right now, it seems. And like Damascus said, eventually, like with the roster of talent that we currently have within, especially the EU side of town, we get so many, we can't even get all of you on top 8s, which is crazy to think of, because sometimes you go, this is who we want for top 8, because these are the people, like these are the A tier, and everyone else like waterfalls down. So I think that's your definition of success, right, Damascus? Like, you have nurtured so much great talent that you can't give them all a slot, which again is a sad thing, but a great thing at the same time, where you can say, go, these guys can do it. Definitely. So that leads on to this question, where like, I'm going to rewind that, get rid of the word major, for an event like UFA, how do you, and with UFA having their selection process open a few months earlier than the event actually happens, they drop out the message on social media going, hey, we have talent openings for these events for commentary, like, put in your applications. That's the side that we see as attendees. You obviously behind the stage, plug. Like, what happens once applications come in? Do you sit through? Do you and the team sit through and sift through all of these reels? Do you watch them all? What happens? Talk us through it.
So what we do at UFA, and I'm very transparent with it as well, because I want people to know how this selection works. At least on our side, I'm not pretending I know selection on every tournament or stuff, but at least
for UFA
how. Yeah, because one of the fights I have for commentators is I hate and I despise the idea of commentators having a free pass to events because they're X. Like, I don't believe, like, I've personally turned down top 8s because I was like, that shouldn't be my top 8. That should be other people's top 8. But that's who I am. Like, I don't like the idea of, oh yeah, cool, that's this guy, Damascus, he's everywhere, so they have to give him top 8. No, I think whatever you do has to be something you worked for and deserves. So for me, when UFA happens, so obviously we prepare a certain amount of commentary slots for each game.
Yeah.
Like 5 commentators for Street Fighter, 3 for Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball we have less stream slots, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Then we pre-fill it with the people who are part of the core team of UFA and commentators, and people who are hard workers. People I say, myself, Logan, like Spag, people who have been keep grinding the game, are community leads, and are also UFA partners, because that's always how it works, right? You have like your main team, so you fill it with the main team that is going to be there.
Yeah.
At UFA every year we like to have as much as possible American commentators, but that's more budget. So this year we had Yipes, I love Yipes. Yipes, my goats.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy to be able. Last year we had Tasty Steve and Sankola. We always try to have some overseas representation.
Yeah.
So we try to count how many American commentators can we afford. So usually it's two. So Yipes and Elijah was this year.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how we work. And then once these slots are filled, there is about 2 slots per game, maybe maximum.
Okay.
That's open, and that's when I go and look through all of the applications and reels and everything to see how it works. And the things that I really, really heavily take into account is obviously, what does the commentator look like? Thankfully, I pretty much know most of the commentators on my game, if not all.
Yeah.
I think the only games where I really need to actively watch reels are Tekken, but I know most people on Tekken. Tekken, KOF,
Sure.
and Smash. Smash is the one where I really actively have to watch everything because I don't know enough about all the Smash commentators.
Yeah.
So the way I do this, except Smash on the French side, I don't really do any kind of selection because the French community is very self-contained and has plenty of different pairings that work and stuff that they want to see. So I leave it to the Smash crew. I help on Smash English. Smash French, I usually just say, I like this guy. If you can put him, do it. If you can't, whatever. So I usually try to watch everything. And the key factors, obviously, for me are how active are you in the FGC?
Yeah.
Are you a person who is on every weekly and you grind the game and you're there every week to help the community? Then if you are, and you actually are a good commentator, I have to put you on UFA, because you've been supporting the community on your own time for free all year long because you love that stuff.
Yeah.
That's exactly the kind of person, that you want on UFA.
Yeah.
I tried to make sure that every single year there is at least, there are a couple people who have never done UFA before because I'm very afraid, and it's difficult, right? But I'm very afraid of reaching that point where it's always the same commentators because they're good. Sure. Because by all means, they're good, right? It's not a criticism towards it. It's just that I don't want it to be the same team every year because then it gives the image to people hardworking, being why am I working for then?
Yeah.
If UFA is already set with these guys, what am I even doing? I want to make sure that we are in an open field, in this. And people who work hard, this year on Street Fighter at UFA, I got to include 2 new French guys.
Okay.
Who are called Uzuraka, the Belgian guy, and Ultra 118, the French guy. And these guys, they commentate every single weekly in French. They're so passionate. They're absolutely everywhere. And because they're small and have a small Twitter and stuff, they don't really get events.
Yeah.
And
I didn't meet them. They were nice people. They were nice guys.
Yeah, they're super nice, man. I love these guys.
Yeah.
But because they are still small in the grand scheme of things and they don't know the right people, when people prepare a commentary team, they don't think about them because very often commentary is about who you know.
Yes.
It's not always about, it's actually mostly not about how good you are. It's more about who you know, which is something I dislike. So on the events I control, I would like to make sure that it's about those who work, even if I don't know you or anything.
Yeah.
I see that you're a hard worker, get there. That's the kind of profile you want, someone who is working hard and deserves his chance.
Yeah. Hardworking, professional, does the weeklies, puts the time in, like you said, hardworking.
Yeah. It creates one thing that I just want to talk about because that's a conversation I've had with commentators before. Okay. Which is an unfortunate side, consequence, but it's life, right? There are a couple of people who are very good commentators.
Yes.
But obviously are busy with real life, so they can't really do weeklies, monthlies, and everything.
Of course.
And it's frustrating for them because they are good enough to do majors. But then when you look at this, you're like, yeah, but that other guy is there every single week, and I'm going to tell him, no, I'm going to put this guy on. And I feel like it's a very difficult decision because you're like, what do you value there?
Yeah.
And it's really hard. There is no right answer.
No.
But it's just that generally speaking, obviously we all have our life situations. We can't necessarily, do commentary at home, all that stuff. But the entire thing for me on the FGC is if you put effort in, you should be rewarded with, more patience.
Should. Yeah. It being a key word because sometimes, like I said, it's not usually the question of your skill in anything you do. It's who you know. because at some point someone's going to go, yeah, I need someone. And Damascus, for example, you will go, I know someone to fill this slot, and they deserve the chance because they have been putting the time in, regardless of if they do the weeklies or they're only able to do monthlies or whatever. So that's the selection process for UFA specifically. Again, I'm not gonna. We're not talking about every other event because we don't know about every other event.
Yeah,
but
I think I can say it's pretty much close to what Brussels Challenge is as well, because I help Brussels Challenge a lot.
Yeah, so any event that you help pick out commentators, this is the process, which is good to know.
So, but the thing I want on this, right, is like I'm trying to reach that position where I become the person to contact if you want commentators, because my role of commentary is to put the people who are hardworking and not just the people I know.
Yeah.
Which is something that I'm trying to do. So like any event who needs advice or help on commentary and stuff, I'm always happy to help, because I want the people who put in work to get the events they deserve.
Yeah, no, 100%. So Brussels Challenge, UFA, those two events, guys, if you have a chance, definitely go to both of them. I've still not had the chance to go to Brussels Challenge just yet, unfortunately. So going back to my wording of UFA being a major, personally speaking, like the question came up in a recent conversation I've had with a few guys, where what do you class as a major?
It's a difficult, obviously. I think it's a very difficult call, because usually in more standard leagues, a major is simply a big event that matters a lot to the league, right? So CPT is a thing on Street Fighter. Any CPT Premier is a major by default,
Of course,
right? But then there is a counterpoint to this, which is, if we take the example of let's say the Arc World Tour, right?
Okay.
Like you take the Arc World Tour. Strive is a big game. There are a lot of players for Strive.
Yeah.
But there is a major on the circuit that, for example, is in Australia, right?
Yes.
And that major in Australia objectively has maybe 3 world-class players attending, and then the Australian community, which has maybe 2 or 3 players who are aspiring to be world-class, but we don't really know where they are yet. And then, players who are of different, high level-ish, So it's a major on the circuits. But do you call this a major tournament when it only has like 3 of the major world-scale players? It's a very difficult. I think it's a very difficult call. Like, to me, I think there are 2 ways you can call major. Either you go purely by definition of a league and you're like, okay, this is a premier event, so it's a major. And if you guys are not attending, it's your fault. It's still a major, and that's true.
Fair.
Like if Versus Fighting was a Dragon Ball Fighters major, a lot of French players did not go to Versus Fighting. Their fault. That doesn't make Versus Fighting not a major.
True.
I think it's like the first one. Or the second one is to pretty much see size of the events, size of the event times world-class players in attendance.
Okay.
Because if tomorrow you make, obviously, fictional scenario of creating a brand new event, and your event ends up having 700 players on Street Fighter 6, including all of Japan and all of America and all of the top players in Europe, even if it's not Pro Tour, it is a major because everyone's there. So I like going with this kind of definition, but it's a very loose definition. I think the best way is literally this, like you would have something that takes into account what it means on the world scale, aka does it have a lot of money? Is it a qualifier for Capcom Cup? Is it Capcom Cup? Like all that stuff. Then how many people in attendance, and then how many of the world-class, like accomplished players are in attendance. And I think that's a mix of all this to decide what's a major. But the name is pretty loose in the FGC because our community style, is make events happen, whatever. It's for the sake of the community, I call any like big-ish event a major event because that's the event you should attend. Yeah, so it's of major importance for you as a community member.
Yes. No, that's good. Like, major importance to you as a community member is probably a great definition to use. You mentioned the point of money, and that made me smile and giggle inside because historically, the fighting game scene, we don't really have large prize pools without a lot of help, which is a sad thing to say, really, because people should be awarded for their efforts. Excluding Pro Tours, like the Capcom Pro Tour. To go back on another point that you made, if it's number of players, like what's the cap where it goes, oh, this is a lot of people? Could be 200, could be 100, could be 500, could be 1,000. It could be 5,000. Like for Evo definitely is a major, right? Because
it's a super major event.
It's super major. It's the Super Bowl. It's the World Cup. It's every sports analogy you could think of. That is the final thing you want to get to. What was my point here? I've completely forgotten. No,
this is
this is why I'm not a commentator, because I can't waffle. I lose my points. So yeah, having a super major, having a major, a question sometimes gets raised. I say sometimes gets raised because sometimes comes up in my mind at least, where what would happen to our community if the Pro Tours suddenly stopped? Like if all the publishers suddenly go, right, we will keep releasing this game every other year and keep reiterating it because we will do this, but the marketing value and the return on having a Pro Tour is not worth whatever we're doing. Like that stops. Like what happens to our community? That's always a thought in the back of my mind. Like what happens if all these professional players, I guess you could define them as professional players, where they travel to the premieres, all the events where you have to get points to be seeded so that you get invited to the finals. What happens then? Because at some point they will stop traveling because the prize pools aren't not that they're not life changing, but they're not sustainable for you to exist on. So that's just a question on the back of my mind. That's not a question for you to answer right now.
No, but it's a valid question, and it piggybacks on the fact that I call a major an event of major importance for a community member. Because I think, as much as obviously Pro Tours are an amazing thing, and I love having Pro Tours, I think the danger of Pro Tours is that it invalidates any event that's not a Pro Tour.
Yeah.
And you hear players like, okay, if you're a super pro player, if you're like Problem X, if you're like Phenom, if you're, like you are here to win Capcom Cup, you objectively have the level to get there. Your focus is to qualify in Capcom Cup. You're allowed to say, oh, this event is not a Pro Tour, I'm not going to go. But the problem there is I hear plenty of mid players who are not players who are winning. They're players who do at best a top 16. And they're telling me it's not a Pro Tour, I'm not going to go. And I'm like, what have you won? Go to, this is your training grounds. Like, this is where you are going to get that skill to then go and be an actual threat in Pro Tours. Like, not the opposite. It's like if you're a guy who's doing, you make it out of pools, you're good, right? Like, you're a good player.
Yeah.
But you're making top 16 to top 32 most. You're not reaching that top 8. You're not reaching that winning position yet, which is even further out. It's very dangerous to have like this kind of World Tour events, because then it creates things like this. So I think Tekken kind of solves it by pretty much having everyone being able to be a Pro Tour. So at least there is always some kind of, incentive. And I think that's objectively the best way to do. So that way it doesn't invalidate events. Street Fighter, for example, now has the thing where only Capcom selects which event is the premiere.
Yes.
So, for example, Combo Breaker and CEO are not events on the World Tour.
Yes.
But because they're Combo Breaker and CEO, people go to Combo Breaker and CEO. But if you look at the attendance, right, of Combo Breaker, a lot of the non-American players are not attending first for Street Fighter.
True.
A lot of the top sponsored players are fully attending because Combo Breaker happened right before an esports World Cup qualifier with big cash prize.
Yes.
So the pro players who need that money to live, they obviously shift their priorities. But we can't have a Pro Tour invalidating other events either. I think every event can coexist in some way.
Yeah, and they should, because if we all just keep aiming for the ones that get us to Capcom Pro Tour, when you're placing the bottom half of top 32, and you go, I'm not going because it's not a Pro Tour event. But why?
It's not a good mentality. Go to play fighting games. I tell that online as well. Right now online there is the Capcom Pro Tour World Warrior.
Yes.
Right, and if you watch so on the French side, the French World Warrior has almost 200 entrants.
Damn.
And I keep telling them, where are you guys? Like the rest why don't I see you on Salt Mine, Wanted, Cobra Kai, NCH, like that weekly all the time, and none of you are showing up. You're only showing up for World War. Why? You're just come and play the game. It's a fun game to play.
It's not. Street Fighter 6 is definitely a fun game to play. It's not a bad game at all. You may have your opinions about it, but objectively, compared to previous iterations, it's in a good spot.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, every fighting games don't cater to everyone.
No.
I don't like Mortal Kombat. It doesn't mean Mortal Kombat is a terrible game. It just means it's not my game. But there are people who love Mortal Kombat and don't like Street Fighter. It doesn't mean Street Fighter is bad. It's just, play what you like.
Yeah, play what you like. There's plenty of games out there right now. We are definitely still in the golden age of fighting games. Like, we had the resurrection after Street Fighter 4, like the 06. 09, thank you, 09. Street Fighter 4 relit the Kindle of fighting games for a lot of players, myself included. That was where I started and where I met everyone like yourself, Damascus. And then Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6, we've got Tekken 7, 8. Mortal Kombat's gone through 3 versions. Smash is still existing with more battle arenas coming up, which is kind of cool to see because a lot of more players are coming out the woodwork. And more games mean more commentary, means more players, means more fun, really. So yeah, classing that's how you class a major. So we've got the weeklies, online or offline. We got the monthlies, which can happen. Regionals, I guess, could be a thing. And then majors, and then obviously Evo is a super major, EWC and stuff like that. That's pretty much an invitational because they all have lead up to it, right? That's how you can kind of class it in my eyes.
I mean, purely invitational. Like, to me, the word invitational is a word where the person who, like the runner of the event, chooses who is in attendance.
Yeah.
I don't see finals as invitational because finals are things you qualified for.
True.
So they were open. It's just you perform better than the others to get your ticket. An invitational is Red Bull Committee. There is no objective factor to be at Red Bull Committee outside of Red Bull thinks you're going to do a great job at making Committee hype.
Yeah.
That's an invitational, yeah.
True. And that's coming back to France, isn't it, next year?
Yep.
Announced it after New York.
Yep.
So France is getting all the events in 2025. So for everyone that doesn't have a passport, go get one. And then book your plane tickets to come to France and Nice, specifically for Evo France, because I want to see that event do great. I will definitely be in attendance. Working it or not, I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens. So back to UFA, Damascus. You are head of talent. Do you have a team to help you, or is it just a one-man band and people help in and out where they can because they've got different priorities?
Yeah, purely. So UFA, what we try to do is to have people being independent in their role, because there is so much to do that, you don't want to burden other people with this. But the way we do for UFA is there is me as the head of talent. There is Abu as the head of the event, who obviously has, a say on all this.
Yeah.
And there's a guy called Knives who's the head of the Smash side. And what I do is I prepare a first list and then go validate it with Abu and Knives, because obviously I suggest it if these guys would like to see someone specific. Because, for example, right, an example that could happen is someone who has worked with Abu all year long and worked on all of the events and stuff that maybe I've missed for whatever reason.
Sure.
Then that Abu is like, no, this guy, like, he's on my tournaments every week and stuff. I want to rotate him with UFA. Well, cool. I'll just take your opinion. But that's pretty much like how it works. Like, I make the team, and then I go validate it with Abu and Knives, who are, the Smash and an overall reference. And then once these two are happy with the full list, good, we start sending the emails and make everything work.
Cool. That's good to know. So yeah, it's not like you have a team of minions, of UFA minions, gophers, running behind the stage, looking at commentary for you, that you are making the decision yourself. You are watching and seeing people and seeing their hard work. So sometimes you may not even need to watch their reels that they submit, right? They are bringing work.
I watch it out of curiosity, but
sure.
The guys who are wanted every week that I stream and stuff, I don't really need to watch their reels. I know them.
Yeah, you speak to them on a daily basis almost, right?
Exactly.
So choosing commentators doesn't mean you have to be a commentator yourself. Obviously, you are a commentator yourself, and you have have elevated into the role you are currently at with UFA and Brussels Challenge and some other events where you are an advisor.
Yeah.
Right? How would you tell people if they ask you how you got there? What would you say?
How do I get there?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, That's one thing I do, right, when I do commentary feedback as well. That's part of the things I say. I think like anyone who is a commentator, like obviously if you want to try, but a lot of people when they try commentary, they realize that commentary is not what they thought. It's not just, it's fun, I sit down and I talk about the game. Like there's stuff to pay minds, to and all that stuff. The thing I usually say to people is, first off, put yourself forward everywhere. Like even a dumb example, right? You're probably not going to Combo Breaker. Still apply for Combo Breaker. You know why? Because there is an off chance they might tell you, okay, cool, we need you. And then that's a win.
Yeah.
And regardless, what's going to happen is, like, say, random thing, you Drift want to become a commentator and you're starting to do commentary and stuff, right? And no one knows you as a commentator. You're applying to Combo Breaker as a commentator. Whoever checks the lists now has seen your name.
Yeah.
And knows that you exist, right? They did not pick you, but they know you exist. So you've already planted the seeds, of, hey, I'm a thing, I'm hardworking. And that person who does Combo Breaker probably does a lot of other events to help with commentary. And if they see your name everywhere, they're like, that guy's actually working, man. Like, who is that guy?
Yeah.
Like you need to push yourself forward, obviously.
Yeah.
Online, today we're blessed with a thing where there's so many online tournaments that like every online tournament need commentators. Like go and ask, honestly, me personally running plenty of online events, I feel like I run out of commentators often, because there are so many events. You can't have someone doing commentary every day. You need a hefty amount of people. That help is always needed, to be there. You're going to be in the eyes of people.
Yeah.
It's one of the dumb thing, right? If you do set and reset, obviously I'm here, so I'm going to be like, checking you, but Abu will be watching set and reset. So he'll be like, okay, I know that face now, like I know that guy's a commentator. It's part of like the things that you need to, being there. And obviously on your commentary quality, you need to know what you want as a commentator. Like what's your goal when you sit down and take a mic? What are you doing? Like what are you aiming at bringing? Because for me, commentators, they need their thing, like who are you? Are you the guy who's going to make it fun? Are you the guy who's going to make it hype? Are you the guy who's going to make like all the little interaction understandable? Like everyone, you need to know what are you bringing, because if you're just there to like talk about what's happening on the screen, objectively, most people can do this.
Yes.
What's the thing that differentiates you is the thing. And if you find that thing, work on it, obviously, and put yourself forward, you eventually get a chance. Best example, UFA, right?
Yeah.
UFA, Spag was ill and could not attend UFA. All right. So Spag told me before, right? Like he was, listen, I'm obviously had issues. He's feeling better now. Shout out to Spag, obviously, love you, brother.
Yeah.
But him not being there, I was like, oh, okay, what do I get? But Nibs, who's a guy who does set and reset and who's very good, was in attendance. And I was like, yo, Nibs, you're there? Yeah. Listen, Spag is not there. Can I put you on commentary? And he was over the moon because amazing opportunity for him to do like his first event of this scale,
Yeah.
And why did it happen? Because he came and attended as a player.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are commentators I know who, if they're not taken off as a commentator, they don't go to an event. And I tell them, if you do this, you're forgetting you're a community member before everything else. Yeah. You're not just a commentator, you're a community member. You like fighting games, you have friends there, you like to hang out and stuff. So like attend it regardless, and who knows, stuff might happen.
If you can attend it, right? Like I don't get hired for UFA personally as a photographer. I still go every year just to see people, just to take some photos and enjoy the vibes. Because like I've said before, UFA is a great event to watch and attend.
And for you have the off chance that one of your pictures ends up trending for whatever reason. And that's a win for you. That weekend is completely good.
Yeah. Paris aside, like UFA is a great event. Sorry, Paris.
Listen, bro, I'm French. I don't like Paris. Like people need to stop thinking I'm from south of France. Like the further out I'm from Paris, the better I am. I think Paris is decent to stay at.
Yes.
A couple of days. There are plenty of beautiful things to do. I would never live in Paris again. I've done it. I wouldn't do it again.
You're used to the countryside life down there, Damascus.
I'm not countryside. I'm like in a city of decent size, But
with a beach.
I'm like
decent beach.
And I have a good beach. That's the thing. I have nature.
You can touch grass. It's great.
Yes.
But yeah, I like go if you can afford it, if you can do it, even if you don't get the opportunity to commentate, to work an event, but you still have the means to go. and you want to go because you have friends going, go. Like, you will make new friends. You will make more friends. You may have the sudden opportunity, like Nibs at UFA this year, to commentate Tekken 8 because someone was unfortunately ill. Like, I wish no ill harm on anyone, but illnesses happen. Like, post COVID people still get ill regardless, and people can't travel for whatever reason. So there is always that 0.1% chance, but that is still a chance. It's not zero. So yeah, guys, honestly, first and foremost, like Damascus said, you are part of the community, and the community doesn't thrive without you. So if you don't go to the event, what are you actually doing? If you're in this for yourself, like, be selfish elsewhere.
That's the thing I always tell. It's like, I feel like you can't become successful if you're not enjoying what the FGC actually is. If you're just there to bring commentary, I think there's something missing in what you want to do. That's why, go attend. And again, right, I literally started like this. I was at Cannes Winter Clash doing other stuff. I was running pools. I was literally just running pools, and suddenly I'm promoted to commentator because someone's missing. And that happens more often than you think. So, needing help, and the extra thing is, once you deliver that help, on the eye of the TO, you are a reliable person because you just saved him.
Yeah.
You're like, this guy really saved me. I'm keeping it in mind for next time I do an event.
Yeah.
Win-win for you.
Yeah. Did me a solid, I'll do him a solid.
Yeah.
Right, perfect. So that's commentary specifically, but to be head of talent, how can people get to that level of work?
That's basically you being super involved in a lot of TO activities, including selecting commentators. I think one of the things I've experienced in the TO side of the FGC, whether it's head of talent, head of staff, head of whatever, it's always people who are constantly running events, and they're constantly running events together. That they're good at running events, and they get to the team as an event runner, and they slowly but surely get more stuff. Like, I was not head of talent the first UFA. I was just helping. That's something that came, slowly but surely, because it's literally, usually the way the FGC works pretty simple, right? It's like, literally, you said it, do be a solid and do you one as well. If you put in work, you're liable, your work is of good quality, you're going to end up getting, more in the team. And that's pretty much how it works. If you're part of your team and you really like, typically for head of talent, you want to say in picking commentators, and you actually do good at this and you have a good position, you do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and then eventually they're going to be like, we need someone select commentators. That's going to be you, obviously, because you've done it before.
Yeah, and you know people, you know the community, you know the wider community, and you pick people for, and they'll choose you. Fair. That's a great answer. So guys, just get involved, regardless of where you want to be. Get involved. Get involved with your weeklies, online, offline, monthlies, everything. Like, if you want to be a commentator, you're going to have to do something and start somewhere, because you can't just suddenly turn up and go, I'm doing top 8. Like, who are you? What are your credentials? Like, why would I put you on top 8? So, I've got 2 questions left. 3 questions, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
What is one thing you want people to know about your role in events? Like, this podcast, Behind the Stage, is about people making events run. And for Joe Public, who just turn up at events, don't know a lot, and enjoy the event, right? And like we said right at the start, the best thing about running, one of the best things about running an event is no one noticing a fire happening, and people just see an event run perfectly well. Like, what is one thing you want people to know, to appreciate from people like yourself, from Abu, from Gazolting as a whole, to Evos, to Brussels Challenge? Like, what is one thing they should remember and be more appreciative about?
I'll be honest on this. I think the most beautiful thing about running events, running events is incredibly stressful. It's incredibly time consuming. It's not really paying. It's like, if you make money of it, that's nice. If you make just a bit of money of it, like, generally speaking, it's not really making money. You have to realize that all of the people who run these events are literally giving their time, effort, sanity for you to get a great experience. If you enjoy the event, take a moment and say thank you, obviously. Because for me, one of my favorite thing, right, of running UFA is obviously running UFA. You've seen me at UFA. I run, literally, no pun intended, I run all day long from like stage 1 to stage 5 to smash to whatever's happening there to, it's just follow absolutely everything. But seeing people telling me this is like the best weekend, or this is the best event I've been to, I'm having so much fun and stuff, that makes it worth it. Like that's the thing. Like you work in an environment. Like I've personally worked in a lot of different environments, like from office environments to working in the markets, like fruit market and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And one thing that exists in the FGC, that hardly exists in other jobs, is that you get a direct link to the positivity of what you do because people are telling you. Like, I'm also a dev. When you dev an application, no one's saying thank you. People only yell at you when the application doesn't work.
True.
Like you play a game every day. Have you ever thanked the developer for making the game? No. But when the game doesn't work, you go on Twitter and like, oh, this game, So like that's what I like about being at an event, is that you see exactly the impact of your work, and that's like really lifting up.
Yeah.
So for the people attending, it's like literally take a moment, say thank you. Like you guys are doing ridiculous. It's really good. And even better, if you see this and it inspires you, ask a TO, how can I help?
Yeah.
Because honestly, in all events, UFA included, we always need more people. We always need more people, because one thing that I've realized by now running events and, getting staff and all that stuff is that us who've been working on this, domain for a while, we're not bothered, but my day at UFA is getting to the venue at 8:30 a.m. and leaving the venue at midnight. And by work standards, that is horrible, right? Like a job that gives you these hours is absolutely terrible. But I did it because I love it, right? But it's really hard to have people coming and realizing that sometimes the hours make zero sense. That's why like it's hard to find people who help, because the difficulty is this, like the caliber of the work you do is so big that not everyone is okay. By all means, it's normal, to do days that are that long. So we try, when we get more people, that's how we can try to have people. That's what we do at UFA. Like you're going to be there from like 9 to 3, and then there's a guy coming at 3 until the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's how we do. That's why we always need more people. The more, the merrier.
Yeah. Split up. Many hands make light work, right? I think is the phrase, or the saying even. So yeah, guys, if you want to help out, or if you have questions, just reach out to your event organizer, to your TO, and go like, do you need a hand? I will happily grab a drink for you. I will happily run some cables. I will run a bracket for you. Just give me a piece of paper. Like, bracket running isn't especially hard, and doing it at a weekly gives you the experience that you may suddenly turn up to UFA or ask UFA, go like, hey, do you need more bracket runners? And you go, I have experience. I've done weeklies, and I know how this works. And speaking of weeklies, Damascus, you run multiple weeklies on your stream on Twitch. One of them being yourself on Wanted.
Yeah.
What is Wanted?
Wanted was the thing I initially designed. So the reason why Wanted was designed initially, so I didn't want to run just a bracket, because I think there are plenty of brackets and I don't want to be yet another bracket. I started Wanted during COVID because one frustration I've always had with fighting games is fighting games, English-speaking fighting games is a very overall American-centric world. But that's normal by the numbers. Like if I look at my metrics on Twitch, on YouTube, or most of the European streamers' metric, the largest crowd of viewers are American, right? Like the number of viewers are centralized in America.
Yeah.
What happens with this is that most people only watch American stuff. They don't really watch what's outside of America.
Yeah.
And I felt like, back in the SF4 days and stuff, that Europe was just completely, left aside because no one cared about Europe.
Yeah.
We would have major events with ridiculously high level of play and no one watching. And then Luffy goes and wins Evo, and they're like, oh, who's this guy? And all of us were like, yeah, he's the guy who destroys us all the time, but you guys are not watching, So, and this was a frustration for me, because I was like, for me, I watch fighting games. I love fighting games. I watch American fighting games. I watch European fighting games. I watch Asian. I watch South American. I try to keep up, because it's fighting games at the end of the day. If there's a great tournament in Brazil, I want to watch it too.
Yeah.
It's not because it's in Brazil that I'm not going to watch it.
Right.
So Wanted initially was made to bring some eyes to the European community. And back then, so I started with Dragon Ball, and initially Wanted was exclusively invitational. I would just invite people who have done well at events to play on Wanted.
Sure.
Because my goal was to have that Wanted poster with the face of the winner because that directly puts an eye on who the winner is.
Yeah.
And if you see that poster, you know that guy's good.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the first idea of it. So I ran it for Dragon Ball, and it very quickly like worked well. You know, like we had the blessed era of Dragon Ball, you know, like during COVID, where like everyone was sweating like crazy on the game. Very fun. Then moved it to a Street Fighter 5, and same, like Street Fighter 5 did well. Mr. Crimson Hurricane, you know, absolutely taking Wanted by storm, and Hurricane being like 20 weeks in a row champion, undefeated. It really, like, I think it helps the people realize who the player is, because something that's missing to me in the FGC is player spotlight. Like, we have a game spotlight, we don't have player spotlight that much. We don't know enough about who the player is unless he streams.
Yeah.
If he doesn't stream, and if you don't watch his stream, you don't really know who the player is because you only watch the tournament. So Wanted was initially designed to do this, to bring eyes to the European community. And when it started to successfully achieve, you know, like its thing, it also took on the second role. So I had 2 roles of Wanted initially, like bring eyes and also be able to have some kind of metric to determine who is truly the best right now.
Right.
Because Wanted right now, to qualify to Wanted, you must win an event.
Okay.
Right. So you have all of the Wanteds. If you want to qualify to Wanted, you have to win a weekly. So you have to already be pretty good.
Yeah.
Right. But then you have the Wanted ladders, which I run. So you have to win the ladder, and same, you have to be pretty good to win the ladder.
Yeah.
So the final Wanted bracket is only tournament winners. So it's only the cream of the crop who are gonna face for a chance to beat the champion, who is literally the winner of all the bracket winners. So objectively, whoever is Wanted is arguably the best right now. You know, like that's like the idea of Wanted, and it does its job pretty well, because I think on all of the Wanted, whoever is on the top right now, it's never a fluke. It's always someone who's winning, who's consistently there, and that's what I wanted. I wanted it to define that, and I think also it creates a story, because you have, this guy is too good, let's take him down. Like right now, Hikari is winning Dragon Ball, and Hikari has a very divisive, you know, personality, right? People want to see him down, and he likes that villain role. That's why I love him. And people come because they want to see Hikari lose, but he's not losing. And that creates more, you know, like tension to just a normal bracket where it's like, let's see who wins. You know, it creates we all together fighting to see who's going to take this guy down. And I think it's very fun to watch.
No, 100%. No, Wanted is definitely a great watch. And the ladders, the brackets, all of the Wanted series now that you've managed to create since COVID at Damascus is brilliant. So guys, if you do want to see like some high level European talent for your fighting game, check out the series, check out the YouTube. Like, it's on YouTube, right? I'm not going crazy.
Yep. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. So go check it out, go watch it, and see who next European killer is that may just suddenly turn up on your event. I
mean, to this day, right? Like, we had the Evo champs that were Wanted champs before. We had like Red Bull Kumite champ. We had so many, you know, proof that whoever... Listen, the Arc World Tour finals last year, 3 of the top 4 were Wanted champions.
There you go.
So I think that's the best metric to see that it's the idea of like showing who the champions are.
Yeah, and with the current era of rollback, certain regions may be able to join in. Who knows? Second to last question, Damascus, which has reminded me, because I saw your poster behind you in the Zuma 11. You are a big football fan. You are a big anime fan. Do you enjoy Blue Lock?
Yeah, of course. I like Blue Lock. I think it's pretty good. I think I'm catching up with the manga right now. I don't really like where it's going right now, I think, but I think it's pretty good overall. Like, I feel like we've waited so long to have a good football anime.
Yes.
That, you know, Blue Lock being able to bring this is really good. And Blue Lock is popular enough, Drift, and that's gonna be like very old man moments. This summer I was at Japan Expo in Paris.
Yes.
Huge event on Japanese culture, anime, manga and stuff. And I was just watching, and there was a place that sells Captain Tsubasa figure. Captain Tsubasa being the football manga / anime.
Yes.
You know, that was like the rage in the 90s. I grew up with Captain Tsubasa. This, like, right there, this is a Captain Tsubasa poster, like this thing.
Yes.
Like, Captain Tsubasa is ridiculous. And I was seeing Captain Tsubasa's figure, and there were 3 kids next to me, and they were like, oh yeah, they're Blue Lock figures. And I'm like, absolutely.
You just wanted to hit them, didn't you? Like,
I am so old, my friend. But no, it's good. I like Blue Lock, and I like having a football anime to watch.
Good.
You know.
second season's just started. I haven't had the chance to watch it just yet.
I was watching it before. I watched the episode right before jumping on with it.
I've got the joys of that to watch, so great, good times. So Dragon Ball, Captain Tsubasa, Inazuma 11, like anime as a whole is part of some of our lifeblood, right? This is something we grew up with. I'm not even going to Saint Seiya because, to be fair, that passed me by, to be very quite honest. But
that's the t-shirt I'm wearing right now.
There you go.
I literally have a Saint Seiya t-shirt.
I knew it was coming to my mind for some reason. Just Inception right there, Damascus. Thank you. Last question, really. We've been speaking for some time, so I want to let you go off and do your thing for the day. Enjoy the nice Nice weather that you currently have. It's quite sunny.
To be honest, it's actually raining today.
Oh, is it raining? It's actually sunny in England today, so surprise.
Well,
nice swap.
Reverse.
I love it. So the last question, as always, for any podcast, and my podcast specifically here, is there anything you want to plug? Where can people find you? If they have any questions, if you want to come back for a second episode, like this is your chance to talk even more, to promote yourself and the things you do.
I'm pretty sure you're professional. You're going to put this obviously in the description. So just get to my socials. The Damascus, always on pretty much everywhere, YouTube, Twitch. I even have a TikTok that I don't do stuff on, but I still have a TikTok. One day I'll do TikTok stuff. But yeah, just like pull up. My thing is just especially if you're European based and you want to play any fighting game, do make sure you follow me because I literally run weeklies on pretty much all of the games. So no matter which current game you play, there is a way for me to give you, a place to play. And my main focus of giving a place to play to people is that the place is fun, and you come and you chill with the players and you play, and that's why I run ladders. I do run ladders on, like, I don't run them like other brackets. I run them in Street Fighter, for example, I run them in the battle hub directly. So you're literally feeling like, I want these tournaments to feel like you're at a local, and that's how they feel. You're at an online local, you're in this battle hub and you're talking to people and you just sit down at an arcade to play your tournament sets, and it's really fun. So just like, if you play fighting games, try to be involved. Get some more fun. We're always here to welcome you.
Honestly, guys, Damascus is a great guy. Got any questions? If you want to just hit up a online local, which sounds crazy to say, Damascus will be able to help sort you out. Even if you just want to watch, be a stream monster, check out him on Twitch. Check him out on Twitch. Sorry, if I could speak, it'd be great. Check him out on Twitch. There's the Wanted ladders, there's the Wanted series, there's the set and reset stuff. For set and reset, you guys did run as a prize to be able to go to UFA for the winner, right?
Yep.
So
go to UFA.
Yeah. So there is plenty of events online to do. Offline still to be is king, but if you can't make it out, you still have all of these opportunities online, and Damascus will, like I've said, help sort you out as a player, as a commentator, give you that opportunity, and hopefully see you guys at events like UFA, Brussels Challenge, Combo Breaker. Maybe not Combo Breakers directly from us, because we're not involved. But yeah, if you have the potential, people will see it, and people will give you that chance to go to that next level. So Damascus, thank you very much for your time. Guys, if you have been listening, thank you very much. You can, if you have any questions, any comments, please leave it in the boxes below, and I will catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.